Hi team, I hope you're all well. Today I am here to recommend you some spoopy books. So for me, there is spooky books that will terrify you and will mess with your brain if they're thrillers and stuff, and I really enjoy those books. And then there's spoopy books, which is like more cozy, cutesy type of spooky. Does that make sense? And I thought that I would do a spoopy recommendations video. I know specifically, for example, honestly, this video is for Jade. I know she doesn't read like horrors and thrillers, but she does love herself a spoopy book. So she knows I've got like loads of spoopy graphic novel recommendations, for example, and she would really love a video on that. So this video is for those types of people, and I really hope you enjoy it. I have gone through my shelves. I have way more spoopy graphic novels than I do anything else, like normal novels, but I have put a couple of spoopy novels on here as well. Things that I think are, you know, to be fair, they probably covered like the cozy fantasy category, but I see that as being spoopy. So I think that they fit on this list. Let me know if you don't, or if you've got any other recommendations. But yeah, so we're going to start off. I do have a couple of middle grade, then I've got a couple of adult ones, and then we're going to get into the graphic novels because I've got way more of those than anything else. So first off, I do have the Amelia Fang series. This is the first one, Amelia Fang and the Barbaric Ball by Laura Ellen Anderson, and I love this series. I've read them all. They all have, you can get them with sprayed edges, and they're all like different colours and everything, and this is absolutely adorable. Amelia Fang is a vampire. She lives in the Kingdom of the Dark, and her mum and dad are hosting this boring barbaric ball that she absolutely doesn't want to go to in this one. And when the spoilt prince of Nocturnia captures Squashy, who is her pumpkin, Amelia must plan a daring rescue, but things in the Kingdom of the Dark may not be all as they seem. So I really enjoyed this. It is very heavily illustrated, and it's just a really cute series, and I had a fantastic time, and I've kept them all so that Thomas can read them once he's old enough to read them. But yeah, I just think this is adorable. So if you've got kids, you might enjoy reading this with them. If you haven't, you might enjoy reading this regardless, because it's just a fantastic time. Also, they are short, but the audiobooks are so much fun, so I would recommend those. Then the other middle grade I do have here is The Bellwoods Game by Celia Crampion. I've only recently read this one, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic, and I would highly recommend it. Again, quite heavily illustrated. I do love my middle grades heavily illustrated. I just think it's really nice to break it up and bring the story to life a little bit. But this one does follow a young girl called Bailey. She lives in this town in which there is this old tale about a girl called Abigail Snook who went missing in the woods many years ago, and there is something in the woods apparently. Now the kids don't believe this, and every single year, a certain year within the school, some of the kids decide that they're going to go and run through the woods, and they need to ring the bell at the end of the line, and it stops any spooky goings on happening for the rest of the year. As it turns out, the story may not be just a tale of Abigail Snook, and things get very dark. But this was a fantastic time. I had such a good time with it. The book is so pretty. This is the Owlcrate Junior version. I don't know if the normal version has end papers like this, but it's so pretty, and it's absolutely perfect for this time of year, and I 10 out of 10 would recommend it. It was a really good time. So yeah, had a fantastic time with that one. Then we get into some of the adult spoopy cozy fantasy recommendations that I have. So obviously I do have A Very Secret Society of Regular Witches by Sangu Mandana. I loved this one. It's so good. It's such a good time. This is the Fairyloot exclusive edition, and I'm obsessed with it. I do have a normal copy as well. And this is following Mika Moon. There are very few witches in Britain, and Mika Moon has a YouTube channel in which she pretends she's a witch. She is actually a witch, but she's pretending on YouTube that she's a witch. And the idea is that in this time, witches cannot spend too much time together. They've been told that it is dangerous for their magic, for them to have too much magic together, and every once in a while they get together to have a quick meeting, check that everything's all right within the community, and that is about it. They've been told that they can't spend too much time together, so they live quite solitary lives as witches. So Mika does this YouTube channel to give herself a sense of achievement, you know, a goal to have. Anyway, she ends up being approached by this person from Nowhere House who believes she is a witch. And at Nowhere House there are 3 young witches whose magic they've had no training and is a little bit out of control. And Mika is recruited as a teacher to teach the 3 young witches how to use their magic. She has to keep it on the down low, the hush hush, etc, etc. But she's telling them that these 3 girls shouldn't be together because their magic is causing too many problems and too much chaos. And as it turns out, that could have been a lie. There is also a romance in here as well, and it's just absolutely fantastic. On the back it says, witch wanted, living tutor wanted for 3 young witches, must have nerves of steel, previous teaching experience not necessary, witchiness essential. And I just love it. I also love that this one just lays flat as well. Fantastic. I am considering a reread this spooky season for that one. But yeah, would recommend. Then I do have Erin Sterling's series, The X-Hex and also The Kiss Curse. I really enjoy this series. You can... No, actually, I wouldn't recommend reading them independently. You need to read The X-Hex first and then The Kiss Curse. We do follow like slightly different characters, but the story follows on massively. So in The X-Hex we are following Vivian Jones, who 9 years ago nursed her broken heart like any young witch would. Vodka, weepy music, bubble baths and a curse on the horrible boyfriend. She shouldn't have used the magic this way, but she isn't worried about it until she comes across him again 9 years later. Reese Penhallow, descendant of the town's ancestors, breaker of hearts and annoyingly just as gorgeous as he was, returns to Gravesglen, Georgia. What should be a quick trip to recharge the town's ley lines and make an appearance at the annual fall fair turns disastrously wrong. With one calamity after another striking Reese, Vivi realises her silly little X-Hex might not have been so harmless after all. This is a comedy of errors and it's absolutely fantastic. I had such a good time with this one, and it's really, really good. And then in this one we follow Vivi's cousin, I think, Gwen, who is perfectly happy with her life in Gravesglen, but she ends up coming across one of the other Penhallow brothers, Llewellyn, and a romance ensues, but there is a lot of, again, comedy of errors and trouble in this one as well. And I just think the series is really, really good and perfect for spooky season. So yeah. And then we get into my stack of graphic novels. I will say quite a lot of these are middle grade and YA. In fact, I think they all are, but they're very enjoyable and perfect for this time of year. If you're looking for quick reads and something that's just going to get you right in the feels, these are perfect for that. So we do have Anya's Ghost by Vera Broskol. So this one follows Anya, who's a young girl. Her family's originally from Russia, but they live in America now, and she's trying to grow up American, but her mum keeps reminding her of her Russian heritage. There is another young boy at school who is also Russian, and he is trying to keep hold of his Russian heritage and isn't as fussed about being more American, and she kind of looks down her nose at him. Anyway, one day she ends up falling into a hole and finding a bunch of bones at the bottom. She manages to eventually get out of the hole, but it turns out she's now being haunted by a ghost, the ghost of the bones, and she thinks this ghost is actually trying to help her, and it turns out that may not be the case. And it is definitely a lesson of be nicer to people around you, don't be so mean to people just because they're different from you or even similar to you and you don't like that about yourself, and things like that. And it was just really, really good. The illustrations are really pretty. It's very much so in like a black and white with a ever so slight tinge of like purplish blue colour in there, but it was really, really good and I really enjoyed it, so I would recommend this one. Then we have Unfamiliars. I absolutely loved this one and I cannot wait for the second one to come out. We're following a kitchen witch called Planchet. She's absolutely adorable. She knows almost next to no other magic other than magic for the kitchen, and she moves to a new town. She's lonely in the town she's in, there's no other witches. She moves to a new town, but the house is deemed haunted. She starts to recruit the help of some other witches in town to try and help get rid of these ghosts, and she learns so much about magic and about ghosts and about other beings as well, and it's just really, really good, and it's just so beautiful. I love it. The illustration, the artwork, the colouring, everything. I just love the whole story, and it was really, really good, and I can't wait for the second one to come out. So yeah, that one is another one. Then we do have Beetle and the Hollow Bones by Eliza Lane. This one is so adorable. I think I read this last year or the year before. It was so good. Beetle is a 12-year-old goblin witch who's caught in the in-between. She'd rather skip being homeschooled completely and spend time with her best friend, Blob Ghost. But the mall is getting boring and BG is cursed to haunt it, tethered there by some unseen force, and now Beetle's old best friend Cat is back in town for a sorcery apprenticeship with her aunt Hollowbone. Cat is everything Beetle wants to be. Beautiful, cool, great at magic, and kind of famous online. Beetle's quickly left behind for dust. But Cat's mentor has set her own vile scheme in motion. If Blob Ghost doesn't escape them all soon, their afterlife might be coming to a very sticky end. So Beetle is trying to rescue all of the other ghosts as well in the mall, but especially Blob Ghost, and try and save her best friend. And it's really, really good. Again, love the illustrations, very colourful. Had a great time with this one. This is Cat, the best friend, and this is Beetle and Blob Ghost, and it's just adorable, and I had a fantastic time with this one. Then we have The Seance Tea Party by Ramina Yee. Again, I think I read this last year or the year before. This was so adorable. Oh, I remember this one now. So Laura doesn't want to grow up. She loves being a kid. Everyone else around her is like growing up rapidly and she doesn't want to. And she ends up coming across this ghost, Alexa, who can never grow up. She died as a child and she can never grow up. And it really starts to hit Laura in the feels that she's just, you know, being a kid is great, but you've got to move with the times. And it's really, really good. Absolutely adorable. I had a fantastic time. It was really sad in places as well. I think I might have had a tear or two in my eye. And it's bloody beautiful under the dust jacket. So yeah, had a fantastic time with this one. Really, really sweet. The sort of graphic novel I would reread again and again, year after year. I'm sure I said that when I read it as well. So it's probably time for a reread actually. Then I do have a series, so we've got Garlic and the Vampire and Garlic and the Witch by Brie Paulson. This one does follow Garlic, who is literally a little garlic and lives in this town with carrots and other types of veg, and there is a witch called Agnes who encourages Garlic to tend to her own garden, etc. But when the village of vegetable people learns that a bloodthirsty vampire may have moved into the nearby castle, they all agree that despite her fear and self-doubt, Garlic is the obvious choice to confront him. You know, Garlic, vampires, etc, etc. So she goes up to the house where the vampire lives. And it was really, really good. I really enjoyed this. Absolutely adorable. Had a fantastic time. The illustrations are so cute. And then we go on to Garlic and the Witch. And it does continue on. It is a series, and I had such a good time with this one. Absolutely adorable. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Then we have the OK Witch. This is the first in the series. I've got the second one as well. I've read them both. We're following 13-year-old Moth Hush, who loves all things witchy. She has no idea that witches are real, and she is a descendant of one. Her mum has been keeping it from her, and it turns out that her grandma's like a really strong witch or something. She's got this cute cat as well who turns out to be her familiar. She's no idea. And it was just really, really good. I really enjoyed it. The illustrations again are beautiful, and it was a really good time. Perfect for spooky season. Then we have the good old faithful Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. I reread this every single year. I think I've read this like 5 times now, and I'm very excited to read it again this year. I never get bored. It's absolutely perfect for this time of year. The colour choices on this are stunning as well, on the illustrations. We do follow Deja and Josiah, who are seasonal best friends. They work at the pumpkin patch every single year. However, this is going to be their last time because they're going off to college. They're not going to have a chance to do it again the following year. So they're trying to make the most of it, and Deja decides that they should go off on an adventure instead of working for their last time, and Josiah has a crush on the fudge shop girl, and Deja is trying to encourage him to go and chat to her, but as it turns out, the more time they spend with each other, the more they decide they like each other. And it's a really good time, very, very cute, and I love it. I read it every single year, as I've just mentioned, and I will do so this year as well. Then we do have The Witch Boy by Molly Knox Ostertag. I loved this series. It was so good. We're following Asta, whose family is born with magic. Boys grow up to be shapeshifters, girls into witches, no exceptions. However, Asta has not yet shifted and he wants to be a witch. And this is very much a series of identity, gender, etc, etc. It's a really beautiful series and I have a very good time with it, and I would highly recommend. Again, illustrations are beautiful. There are 3 out in the series and I loved every single one of them, so would recommend this one. Then we've got 3 recents that I've just finished reading. So we've got Snapdragon by Kat Leah, which follows Snapdragon. She is a young girl and her town has a witch, or so the stories say, and Snap ends up coming across this witch one day, and the witch turns out to be nothing more than just an older woman who likes to put skeletons back together and sell them on the internet. However, things are not as they seem, and Snap realises that Jax may actually have real magic. I really enjoyed this one. I'm not a massive fan of the illustration style. It is a little different than what I'm used to, and I actually think, like, in the beginning Snap's face really freaked me out. I got used to it as the series went on, but I did really enjoy it. This is also queer as well, so would recommend it if you're looking for some queer graphic novels. It was perfect. Then we have Sauceline, which is actually translated from French. So if you're looking for a translated book during spooky season and you want something short and quick and fast, this would be perfect for that. We're following Sauceline, who's always been as obsessed with studying mythical creatures, and now she's going to be studying at Professor Archibald Balzar's prestigious School of Cryptozoology, and she's eager to test her knowledge and earn a spot of one of Balzar's apprentices. However, things start to go very, very wrong at the school, and very strange. The illustrations in this are some of the prettiest illustrations I have ever seen in a graphic novel. Like, even the characters themselves, the art on the characters, stunning. So beautiful. I absolutely love this one. The second one comes out soon and I'm really, really excited. Translated version. It is originally French, so if you can read in French, you'll be able to get that one, and you'll be able to get the second one now. But the English version comes out really soon. And then last but by no means least, we do have The Ghoul Next Door by Cullen Bunn and Kat Farris. We're following 11-year-old Gray, who lives in the legend-haunted New England town of Anders Landing even, and he can feel a pair of eyes watching him all the time. He takes shortcuts through the graveyard to get to school, etc. And it turns out he has an admirer. Now, this admirer is a ghoul. Eventually he becomes friends with this ghoul, but things start to take a little bit of a dark turn when his best friend Marshall goes missing. And it's really, really good. I really enjoyed this one, had a great time with it, and yeah, it was a good time. I would recommend. So those are the spoopy recommendations I have for you. There was others that I was thinking of putting on here, like Finlay Donovan is killing it, but I wouldn't necessarily say that that's spoopy. It's cozy mystery. There's no magic to it. It is literally just a mystery, so I don't think that's necessarily spoopy. I think spoopy's got to be magical, cutesy, cozy, fantastical-esque. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I feel like these are spoopy recommendations. If you disagree with me, that's absolutely fine. The graphic novels are definitely spoopy recommendations and the middle grades, but I think Secret Society for Irregular Witches and the X-Hex series is also spoopy. So yeah, I'm hoping to get to more books that I can maybe next year add onto this list, because I have read a lot of spoopy graphic novels but not necessarily novels, so I'm looking forward to adding more to my list. But if you have any recommendations for me at all based off of this list, please leave them in the description box down below. I'm always looking for spoopy recommendations, whether they're novels or graphic novels or even manga. Let me know in the comments down below. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Have you read any of these? Chat to me in the comments down below, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.